What's up, guys? So we got a question from Kenny, who's a retired military veteran who's looking to get back into jiu-jitsu after a long layoff, but he doesn't want to get forced into a competition setting. He wants to be able to learn and grow and enroll at a moderate pace, but he doesn't want to go crazy hard and he doesn't want to compete. His situation is this: he was in the military, and he was a police officer at one point, and because of the injuries that he sustained in both of those, he was medically retired from both. He's had surgeries on his hips, his knees, his back, everything's jacked up. He's only 33 years old. He's a young guy, but he's high mileage. In his own words, he's high mileage. And Kenny, I say the same thing. When people ask me how old I am, because I'll be like, oh man, I'm so sore. And they're like, oh, you're young. I'm like, look, I might be a newer model, but I've got some mileage on the body. So, he's a younger guy, but he's had a lot of mileage. He got his blue belt, first stripe, in 2014, but after moving down to Nashville and just taking some time off and dealing with the injuries and stuff like that, he just hasn't been back into it. Now he's at a place where he wants to get started, but he's just not sure what to do. So, brother, thank you for the question, and I wanted to sort of share something with you because I saw this and I immediately, put up the camera. I had to answer it for you because I had a situation recently with one of my students who's in a kind of a similar situation. His name's Tony. Tony is a military veteran, right? He was a retired military lieutenant colonel, and Tony's a great dude. Tony's such a nice guy. Like, if you don't like Tony, something's wrong with you. Tony's a good dude. And Tony came into our gym as a purple belt, and when he came in, we were all competing at the time, and he decided to jump in with us. So he did several competitions with us. And this is a guy who's had a replaced hip, he's had a bunch of surgeries on his neck and his back, like he's had all kinds of stuff done. Just worked on all over the place. Again, from injuries sustained in the military. So recently, Tony, about a month or two ago, Tony came up to me and told me that he went to his doctor, and the doctor told him that, look, your hip's getting all jacked up. You need to stay away from the high intensity of competitions. Like, you can train with your brothers and your buddies at the gym, but you don't need to be doing the hardcore, like rolling. You don't need to be doing the hardcore training or the competitions, that super intense stuff. For this one, for Tony, it kind of sucked because he enjoyed being out there with us, right? Again, if you guys have been in a competition before, it feels good. You feel like you're a part of this big team. And so Tony enjoyed that aspect of it. And so it got taken away from him, and he's very bummed out about it. So we sat down and we talked about it. He's like, okay, well, where do I go now? So I was talking to Tony. I was like, well, there's plenty you can do. You can still roll. You can still roll with all the guys in the gym, the good guys, the guys that are more skilled, right? I don't know about how things are at your guys' gyms that are watching this, but at our gym, with the guys that are more experienced, the guys that have gears that they can shift into, right? You can maybe take it up a notch and be intense, but you can also just move and flow with each other. Tony, I was telling him, I was like, man, we'll take care of you. We're here to take care of you. Like, we're here to take care of one another. And when, as we're all aging, when one of us gets injured or one of us has an issue, like, we're like, cool, we'll work around that, right? We don't have to go crazy hard. We can just move. We don't have to go crazy. And so Tony was like, listen, this is what's going on. I can't roll hard. I can't roll crazy. I can't go to competitions anymore and doing that stuff. So afterwards, we simply just sort of adjusted it, and we said, listen, you can train, you can roll with the more skilled guys, and you can focus on teaching. And it was important that Tony laid it out like that for me, because as a coach, I want to do my best to help people. And so it's important for me to know where people are coming from and what they're going after. And so what I would say with you, right, just like Tony laid it out for me, it's very important because that lets me know, okay, Tony's hip's jacked up. I don't need to be cranking on his neck. There's certain things I don't need to do on Tony that I might do on someone else, because it's just, I'm not going to put Tony in a leg lock. I'm not going to rip him and put him in a knee bar. I'm not going to put him in some sort of like guillotine choke and wrench it, right? I mean, I wouldn't try to do that on my training partners anywhere, but I'm going to be more mindful of it anyway because of his situation. And so what I would say with you, Kenny, is going to, the gyms in Nashville, whichever ones you decide to do. I'll give you a suggestion in just a second. But if you're going to these gyms, try them out and let them know what's up. Say, like, this is my situation. Can you accommodate this, right? I want to roll. I want to do something at a moderate pace, but I don't want to go crazy. And I've got these injuries, and I don't really want to compete. I just want to be a part of something, and I want to learn, and I want to be a part of it. So, what should I do? And then talk to them and see if they can accommodate that. I think that most coaches, because again, you're a military veteran, you're a police officer, right? Like, most people respect these things, and you basically, you became damaged in service of your country and your community, right? That's a noble thing. And so I think that most people are not going to just simply scoff at that. They're going to be like, wow, like, thank you for everything you've done, and let us see how we can help you. And so I would say that talk to them and let them know what's going on, so this way they can try to work around your injuries as best you can. Now, you said you were in Nashville. And I'm very biased about this, okay? Like, I'll tell you right now, I'm part of the team Sean Hammond's umbrella, right? And I'm one of Sean's affiliates. He's a good friend of mine, love him to death. And my boy Chad just moved down to Nashville. And I can tell you that Chad, for instance, Chad and Tony, the guy that I spoke about earlier, those two were like brothers. I mean, literally, they were going and hanging out all the time. So you mentioned in your message, you saw that Chad moved down, and you said, I'm not sure if he would even want to work with someone like me, right? I can tell you right now that Chad is perfectly fine with working with people like that, because Chad gets it, right? If you watch when I gave Chad his black belt, I said in that video, I was like, dude, he gets it. Like, he went from being this young kid that was all about me and killing people and just smashing people in tournaments to being like, okay, I can do that, but I can also build up the people around me. And so I think that if you were to go down there and train with Sean and Chad and all those guys, they would be more than happy to work around you. And I know that, like, from Sean's had so many guys with him for such a long time that he's got some old dudes on the mat, and those old dudes aren't training like they were when they were like 25 or 30, right? And so I think that they might be able to get it pretty well. So again, my recommendation is 100% biased, and I'm just sort of throwing it out there to you. Check out, message up Sean Hammonds, message up Chad, check them out, see if they can, work with you, tell them what's going on. And then, if for some reason, if you want to check out other gyms, do that and just tell them what's going on. But again, you kind of threw out that message about Chad at the end of your email, and I can assure you that Chad's used to working with people of all shapes, sizes, and injuries and non-injuries, and he did a lot of work with Tony while he was here at the gym. So that's my video message to you, Kenny. I appreciate everything, brother, and I appreciate the question that you sent, and so thank you so much, and I hope that helps.